fucking Roethlisberger, the quarterback, was all fucking hug it, chug it, football all night.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Mike Virginia here with the Palazzo Podcast. 2 L's, 2
Utah.
Z's.
Give me 2.
That's right. You heard me.
Utah. Give me 2.
I got to play it twice. That's our whole bit. Welcome to the Palazzo Podcast, guys. 2 L's, 2 Z's. Week 1 is in the books. Michael Govier will be joining us here shortly. He's just getting set up. So, hey, we're doing a Week 1 reaction show, getting ready for the waivers for tomorrow. Give you a little bit of our reactions, the panic meter, the whole 9 yards. You guys know the deal here. If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We would greatly appreciate it. That being said, I'll dive right in. I wish Govier was here to talk about these guys, but I first want to bring a couple of things and a couple of my thoughts from Week 1. Obviously, some upsets. Cincinnati losing to New England. Nobody would have saw that one coming. I don't know if you guys saw the video of Joe Burrow throughout the game, shaking his hand or his wrist throughout the entire game. Even something as simple as picking up a water bottle was extremely difficult for him. So I have real concerns. That was a calculator, by the way. I have real concerns with Joe Burrow and really everybody on Cincinnati. I have a feeling this is going to be a kind of a Chicago White Sox type season there for them. Defense did not look good at all against a really weak New England team with Jacoby Brissett. So very leaky run defense. Ramondre Stevenson had a day. I'd actually be looking to sell high on Ramondre Stevenson if I could, and address a team need. Cincinnati looked bad to me all the way around, and I know the whole thing with Jamar Chase was a distraction. The running back situation's kind of all over the place. Joe Burrow's wrist and hand does not look good. It's one of those things too, where again, somebody asked me today a trade question where they would be acquiring T. Higgins. I believe the trade was Jordan Mason and Calvin Ridley for T. Higgins, and he would be giving away those guys to get T. Higgins. And I said, hell no, I don't want anything to do with Cincinnati right now. Maybe the only person I would probably take on that team, obviously, is Jamar Chase. But are we confident Burrow's wrist is 100%? Because I'm not after what I saw this morning. Jamie says no MJ, huh? He'll be here in a little bit, Jamie. He's getting off of work, so he'll be here shortly. I do got a jet right out of here at 9, so that's why I started. That's why I started a little bit early. So, long story short, Week 1 reaction for me. The number one headline for me is Cincinnati. And Rugrat says Zach Taylor always flat Week 1. Again, Rugrat, I don't know if you heard me earlier, or maybe just joined. Did you see the video of Joe Burrow shaking his hand multiple times, going like this, and like working it around? He just didn't seem right. The defense looked really flat. I'll use your word. Allowing that many yards on the ground to Ramondre Stevenson in a really weak offensive team in New England was very concerning to me. So, Chris says, would I drop Odunze or McMillan? No, I'm not dropping either of those guys. It's worth noting that Odunze, excuse me, every time I do a show, I always get something stuck in my throat. It's weird. Maybe it's this room. Odunze, I believe, is getting sent for imaging on his knee, I believe is what it was. McMillan, same thing. I'm not really high on him. He's probably 3rd or 4th in the pecking order behind Evans, Godwin, and even Palmer there. So I think if you play in a dynasty league, these guys are definite must holds. I don't think you're dropping either of these guys, but it also depends on who else is on your waiver wire. So Anthony says, is Vidal and Wright from Miami cuts? I would hold on to Wright. Both Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert did not practice today. They were listed as DNPs, and Mostert's got something going on with his chest, and Achane's got something going on with his ankle. So I do think it's the Jeff Wilson show if both of those guys were to miss Thursday night's game against Buffalo. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, go get Wright. But I think McDonald likes Jeff Wilson there. And Jeff Wilson also saw a good complement of snaps as well. So I really do think it's going to be Jeff Wilson over Wright, and I feel pretty confident in that. I don't think they're going to give the reins over to a rookie running back. I think they're going to go with the the plotter there and Jeff Wilson. Let him get his work in. And I would not be surprised if we saw a Christian McCaffrey type thing here with Achane and Mostert both sitting out on Thursday night with a short turnaround. So, and let those guys get right. It's early in the season. They need those guys for the long run. So I think it'll be a combination of Jeff Wilson and Wright, but I think I would lean Jeff Wilson there. Vidal, I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably hold on to him. It's only week 1. There's a lot of guys that I'm probably not dropping. Jamie says the whole NFL was down this week, far as scoring, yards, etc., due to lack of reps with a lot of teams, and it showed. Yeah, I'm telling you though, man, Cincinnati is a team to worry about. I'm telling you. I know it's only week 1. Cincinnati is a team to worry about, and again, the only reason why I'm saying that is because the defense looked terrible, and Joe Burrow does not look 100%. He simply doesn't. And I'll tweet it out later, but there was multiple shots throughout the game, and somebody made a montage of it. He's even sitting on a bench trying to pick up a water bottle, and he can't. His wrist is not there. So I'm telling you, if you have Cincinnati players, I'd be looking to sell. Including T. Higgins. I know he's got a hamstring injury, but sell low. Get rid of these guys now. I know it's an overreaction. Call it what you want. I don't think Joe Burrow's right. I don't, and I'm glad I didn't draft Jamar Chase. Let's see. George Play 01 says, "Hey man, should I use my waiver 1 priority to pick up Bucky Irving? If so, should I drop Trey Benson or Blake Corum?" I personally wouldn't. I do still think that they're going to give. They're going to give. He's James drawing a blank on me. What the heck is a Tampa Bay's running back name? Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. Somebody help me out. Rachaad White. I think Rachaad White's still the guy there to own, even though he didn't look great. Bucky Irving looked really good. Washington is not necessarily a stingy defense, but I would probably still hold on to Rachaad White, and I wouldn't be using my number 1 waiver claim on Trey Benson or Blake Corum. Trey Benson didn't really see the field a whole lot, and I still think that's James Conner's backfield in Arizona. Man, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I am tired. So I think it's Conner's backfield, and I still think it's Rachaad White's backfield and Blake Corum. I think all these guys are handcuffs, honestly, George. Trey Benson and Blake Corum, they're handcuffs. If you're looking for a speculative ad for a handcuff there, I think I would make that call, but I probably what's up, man? I probably wouldn't use my number 1 waiver claim on these guys. I'd probably hold on to that as a lottery ticket for when one of these guys does hurt. If you're in a league where a lot of your league mates are going to be stashing handcuffs, then maybe this makes sense. But I think just from the limited information that you gave me, I'm not using my number 1 waiver claim on either of these guys. So
Utah, give me 2.
In terms of picking up Irving, I wouldn't use my number 1 waiver claim. But Michael, any questions or thoughts? Well, first off, how are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Mike, on the show. Big fan, first time, long time. Looking forward to this. I really have. Thank you. God damn. You 1 minute you're in like a hardcore sesh. Next thing you know, you got to be on the air, and sometimes things run over, so I apologize for being late. But I want people to know I'm so happy that Mike's here. We're back together again. You were missed greatly, Mike. Everybody tell Mike how much you missed him.
Was that really that?
Of course you were. Yes, you were very much missed. We all missed you very, very much.
Wow.
Make sure you guys all jump in the live chat and tell Mike how much you missed him. I know I did. On Sunday, I don't know if Oops is here. Is Oops here? Did he run away? Because that Anthony Richardson debate we had on Sunday, it was fire. It was hot.
I didn't get a chance to see that. What side were you on that coin?
I said that the preseason don't mean shit, and that just because Anthony Richardson threw a pick 6 in the preseason doesn't mean he's not going to have a badass fantasy season.
Oh yeah, man, I would have been all over that with you as well. Anthony Richardson's a good quarterback, man. Preseason, yeah, kind of like preseason doesn't mean shit in baseball, even though I personally do think it's a little bit more for baseball than it does football.
It does. Spring training means a little. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does because there's a lot of games.
Yeah, in football, there's limited reps. These guys are just in for a series or two, so it's hard to go off a small sample size for one. And number two, no quarterback is perfect, and they're going to throw interceptions. And Anthony Richardson's not prone to that, but that doesn't mean he's going to have a bad season. His rushing floor alone, and his rushing ability to score touchdowns makes him one of the safer floor quarterbacks in all of fantasy football. So.
Damn right it does. And he was, okay, he got lucky because he had a couple massive plays against the Texans on Sunday, but the final stat line, a couple passing touchdowns, a couple rushing touchdowns.
Stud.
Shit. Anthony Richardson is a classic example, Mike, of a guy who's a fantasy stud quarterback, but he might not win. He might not be a big winner in real life, although I do think him and Shane Steichen are a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Question here from Anthony, Michael. Jump right in here. Is Alan Lazard a thing?
Yes! I can't believe it. I'm so pissed. He is totally a thing. And the reason I'm saying this is I heard Peter Schrager, who's from Good Morning Football. He's all over the place. He knows football. He's on the NFL Network. And he was on Bill Simmons' show like 10 days ago, and he said he came out of Jets camp, and everybody was talking about Lazard. And he was right. First game out, 2 touchdowns. All Lazard needs, Lazard is nothing without Aaron Rodgers. He's basically like Batman without his suit. If Batman wasn't Bruce Wayne, he couldn't be Batman. But Alan Lazard, Aaron Rodgers is Alan Lazard. He's that guy. I don't think it's a fluke. I'm all in. You definitely want to add Lazard in PPR leagues.
Demarcus Robinson or Alan Lazard?
I think I'm going Lazard now. I'm just jumping because these guys have this stupid ass connection that makes Lazard something. It's just weird.
Yeah, I think he's the number 2, probably in that pecking order behind Garrett Wilson, but he trusts Alan Lazard. And if you guys have watched Aaron Rodgers throughout his career in Green Bay, he likes guys that he can trust. So I'm not saying Garrett Wilson I still think he's wide receiver 1. I think he's a top 5 receiver this year with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. But Alan Lazard is a real thing as well. This is what I'm torn with, because in terms of just waiver wire, and for those of you guys who are listening, that's what we're here to help you out with waiver wire questions. I think I probably prefer Lazard as well, just because I think Cooper Kupp is going to eat up a massive target share. And there's a lot of mouths to feed in St. Louis, in LA. So I still call them the St. Louis Rams. Do you ever do that?
With the Rams, I actually do call them the LA Rams because they originally were the LA Rams.
Right.
So
right.
I give them a pass. But San Diego Chargers, 1-0 with Go Blue legend Jim Harbaugh, who's just might be the best coach ever next to Belichick and Saban. For real. I'm going to stand behind that. I think that's not hyperbole. He's really good. Look what he did.
Yeah. And before you came onto the show, I was talking about, that's why you're looking in the live chat here. My number 1 headline going into week 2 is I am heavily concerned about Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. That's my week 1 overreaction here, Govier. Because
we couldn't do diddly poo offensively.
That's Zach Taylor.
What a massive letdown at week 1 home game against the New England Patriots. I mean, I can't believe that. I don't know if you saw the video that was surfacing on Twitter today about Joe Burrow going like this with his wrist. Like there was a montage of like 15 different shots. That's not an exaggeration. I'm not kidding. Like literally TV broadcast of him like holding his wrist and going like this. And he couldn't, like, he was hard, like picking up a water bottle. Like I'm telling you, Joe Burrow's wrist is a real concern. And I'm going to give credit where it's due. You mentioned that in the very first football pod that we did this year that you had concerns about Joe Burrow. And I'm leaning that way now too. I'm selling. This is a fire sale. I mean, do we really believe that his wrist gets better as the season progresses?
Well, I don't know if we believe that, but here, look, history taught us something last year, Mike. And you know what's really funny? The show graphic for today's show. It's Joe Burrow sitting on his ass. It's Joe Burrow sitting on his ass saying, "Why, God, why?" But you know what, Mike? This is where if we had more time, God, we always need more time, don't we?
Always.
If we had more time, Mike, we would have looked at week 1 last year. Do you remember what happened week 1 last year with the Bengals? I didn't. I forgot.
I don't.
They got murdered by the Browns week 1, 24-3. Joe Burrow had a shitty game just like he had against the Patriots. They were non-existent. So now, first off, the wrist thing is somewhat real. I'm concerned about it. But this week 1, the start of the season thing for the Bengals is now a trend. It really is.
Yeah.
And they finished strong.
Yeah.
So I really think that has something to do with it. So the Patriots have a good defense. They really do. I've drafted them in a couple fantasy leagues for desperate Ds. And I believe that the Patriots are not be as god-awful as we all think they are either. But the Bengals, in terms of concern, I'm going to dismiss week 1, but I'm also going to be weary of 2 and 3. And they might not really turn it on until week 4 or 5 and beyond that. Or they really might not.
I'm I'm concerned about his wrist. There's nothing about that week 1 performance that makes me think. And again, I completely understand it. Everyone in the live chat has already been saying it's only week 1. Like
no T Higgins,
time to gel. Yeah, no T Higgins, but he's got a hamstring injury. I don't want anything to do with him either. He had a hamstring injury last year, and it kept him in and out of the lineup.
You have failed.
Wow.
And hamstring injuries linger. Look what happened to Cooper Kupp. Look what happened to Justin Jefferson. Look what happened to Aaron Jones. Like hamstring injuries for wide receivers and running backs are never a good thing.
I just want to comment real quick here. Anthony said, "Sorry, I beat you by 33 points in the Palazzo Podcast Invitational."
Did he beat you or me? I think
he beat you. Yeah, I lost by 14 points, so that's the only reason I know that.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for the ass whipping.
I bet you would, Panama Red.
That's right. Another thing I wanted to bring up to you, Michael, is from one of my week 1 reactions here is kudos to your Detroit Lions, by the way, who pulled out a phenomenal victory. Mr. David Montgomery
owned overtime.
He did. And I want to bring that up because a lot of people, rightfully so, were very high on Jahmyr Gibbs and still are. And I mentioned on this show, last show or the show before that, I can't remember, David Montgomery would still be a thing, and he is. Are you concerned that this is going to be a repeat of last year and week 1 overreaction? Do you think that David Montgomery is a better value pick than Jahmyr Gibbs?
Get trusted.
Montgomery, if he hadn't had overtime, through 4 quarters, he had like 12 yards for 45 yards, 12 carries for 45 yards. Mm-hmm. The whole hum effort. Overtime made his day because he had the touchdown too. Mm-hmm. So Gibbs is a badass who can do so much and doesn't need as many touches. And Montgomery needs more touches to be successful, in my opinion. Right. That's a concern. Although he is touchdown dependent, and for a guy like you who plays in a standard league still, and he's proud of it, that matters. But I'm not really worried about that situation. They know how to use each other. I think the big worry with the Lions offense that maximizes the fantasy worry the most is the rise of JMO, who is a badass. I drafted him a few times, but then I was like, I don't want to be too trendy because everybody else is saying he's going to break out. That's such a stupid thought, Mike. Why would I think like that? Because I was gung-ho about JMO breaking out because he's healthy, he's elite in speed, and he makes plays. And I told you in that NFC title game with that run he had, he was just so good in such a big moment that said a ton to me, and I knew that he would take off. So that's going to... Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra, we love Amon-Ra. He only had 3 catches, I believe. It was non-existent. Someone's going to lose every week, but I think it's more the receivers than it is the 2 running backs. I think they're always going to get theirs, and they're going to rotate, and they're going to get equal amount of touches, maybe some a little bit more, less than others week to week, depending on the game plan.
Yeah, 17 carries to 11 carries for Jahmyr Gibbs. Like you said, a majority of those carries came in overtime. They just couldn't stop him. And that's the thing, too. Like, they love him in Detroit. They love him between the tackles. And that's why I was so confident in what I said, is because I get Gibbs is a better fantasy back, especially in PPR formats. I 100% agree with that. But for the draft price that you paid to get him, this is not a fluke. This is going to be happening. This is going to be a game where some games you're going to see more Montgomery, and there's going to be some games that you see Jahmyr Gibbs, and they're going to ride the hot hand in terms of how in game script and all that good stuff. But I can and you can lock me in on this. I want you to hit the lock it in button. David Montgomery will see double-digit carries, 10 to 12 carries a game for the rest of the season. And he's going to be a thorn in the side of Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm sorry. I don't own any shares of either one of them. I did have a lot of Montgomery shares last year. I have 0 shares of both Gibbs and Montgomery. So
I got a lot of Gibbs.
Do you? And I'm not saying PPR format, like I said, 100%. I think the touchdown upside probably swoons a little bit towards Montgomery just between the tackles. But then again, the receiving work is going to go to Gibbs.
Well, Gibbs thing I'm seeing now clearly. You know what sucks about doing a lot of drafts? Every draft you do, you get a little bit more clarity. Like, oh, this makes more sense. Oh, this is starting to make more sense. And I just wish the draft season would never end so I could get a few more in where I could have dominated. But hey, that's life. But
Nobody says woo around here except me.
You're right. I'm sorry, Rick. But Gibbs looks now to me like an ideal best ball draftee for sure. Yeah. Like that's where he's because he's gonna have these big weeks where you're like, yes, but the consistency could maybe be an issue, and I'm admitting that now. I will.
my third thing that I wanted to bring up to you real quick, and I'm glad that you're giving me this the spotlight here in terms of things I want to chat about. The third thing I want to bring up, and I brought this up on Twitter, and I genuinely want to ask you this because I believe you were high on this player going into draft season, and I could never figure out why people were. So maybe you can give me some insights to this. Again, maybe a week one overreaction, but why were people so high on Deontay Johnson?
Let me be clear. Not one of my guys. I didn't draft him in a damn draft. I have 10 leagues where, I drafted about 13 leagues. Three or four were best ball. The rest were waiver wire leagues. No, I don't have a single share. I don't want anything to do with it. The Panthers offense, I drafted Chuba Hubbard maybe once or twice because he was just so cheap, and sometimes he can rack up the carries. That's it.
Right.
And then Adam Thielen just drops forever. He had 103 catches last year because of garbage time. Mm-hmm. So when you get to like pick 160 and he's still sitting there, I took maybe one Thielen or two, but otherwise, nope.
And here's the reason why I'm bringing that up, right? Is because I had this conversation with somebody who's actually going to check our show out. He didn't know that I did podcasts. And
great! Share the
work.
Spread the word, everybody. Plots on podcast. 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Utah. Give me 2.
So Trey, if you're out there and you're listening to us, man, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Anyways, we were talking about it in the gym yesterday. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday. What made people go, Deontay Johnson? Yes, I want all of him. Top 12 receiver, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't figure out why, because Bryce Young was still Bryce Young. Yes, they got a new head coach, but the number one argument that I've heard from people on Twitter was Adam Thielen did really well, Mike. Deontay Johnson, you just drag and drop him in there, and those targets all go to him. Progress is not linear. It doesn't work that way, right? Like we talk about it in baseball all the time. That's where I kind of had the head scratching. I'm like, wait a minute. So because Adam Thielen did well, that means Deontay Johnson's going to do well, even with Adam Thielen still in the.
I'm so excited.
I was not excited for Deontay Johnson, and
neither was I.
The Panthers look terrible. So I think they're going to be drafting 1-1 again.
Well, at least I'll have the draft pick this time, right? Hey,
yeah, exactly.
Look, Panthers got it dawned on me again. There's never enough time. Just like Jesse Spano says, time. There's never enough time. But I realized, oh wait, the Saints are everyone's on Sunday. Everybody was seen to be against the Saints because of the way the season ended last year. People were bitter, but the Panthers are god awful. Even though I took their over-under on our win total show this year, so I got a long way to go there. They got to win 6 games. That seems daunting.
Yeah.
But and then everybody was against the Cowboys. Like, oh, the Cowboys because of the way they finished, a terrible playoff effort, a horrendous. But they were locked and loaded, and you're supposed to bet on Deshaun Watson. Get the hell out of here. That was stupid. And then Baker Mayfield, as somebody said in here, give me Baker over what's his face. I'm like, wow, you might be right. Baker 4 touchdowns. Losing Dave Canales, the OC, maybe wasn't that big a deal. Like Baker he's got Mike Evans to throw it up to. Mike Evans is the ageless one. Is he not?
He's so underrated every year, man. Like we don't give that guy enough credit. And maybe it's because it's Tampa Bay. I don't know. But a year in and year out, you know what you're getting out of him. He is Mr. Reliable. He's a low end wide receiver 1 at this point in his career. But you couldn't have asked for a safer floor in a wide receiver 1 than Mike Evans. He probably has the safest floor of all the wide receiver 1s in fantasy football. If you took the top 12 receivers, he might have the one of if not the safest floor.
Yeah, Tyreek's is pretty safe, it seems like. Yeah. Even when he gets arrested, he scores. So, or whatever the fuck that was. Someone was trying to fuck me up because I was doing the show that morning on Sundays, which we are doing now. So, Hey, Sunday, 11:15 this past Sunday. We'll modify as needed, but Mike will be back, and he'll protect me from oops beating up on me. But I did say on Sunday's show, I showed people. I even brought up my team, and I had the live screen live where I benched CMC on Sunday morning.
Ooh.
I've got that. I got the receipt now.
Hit the round of applause button for yourself there, Mr. Govier.
Guess who I put in instead?
Jordan Mason.
I wish. I didn't even have his backup. Even better, though, because Jordan was really good. Ramondre Stevenson. Yeah.
I was so
one of my most drafted running backs of all my league. I got Ramondre all over the place, baby. Bounce back season is officially begun, and I'm pumped. Woo! Right, Ric Flair?
Nobody
Oh,
says
who cares? I can
woo
woo.
around here except me.
Okay.
So you missed my part earlier in the show before you logged on. I actually said that I would sell Ramondre Stevenson now. His price tag's never going to be higher.
No. We disagree there big time.
You think that, and again, I'm generally asking you this, do you think that his progress continues as the season progresses with that offense, the way it is, with Jacoby Brissett, yada, yada? Okay. You think the offensive line can sustain that as well?
Yeah, the offensive line may have been a little extreme with. I know Cincinnati shit the bed, but let me give you two options here. Let's say they stick to their plan and they run Ramondre 25 times a game. Mm-hmm. That's great. And he can still rack up carries. But let's say the game gets out of hand, they get kind of blown out. He's a great pass catcher. Last year, he caught a ton of shitty dump-offs from Mac Jones. Mm-hmm. So he can rack up in PPR. That's good news. So I see it as a win-win where the floor is actually not bad at all for Ramondre. Plus, he was highly touted. And yet last year was supposed to be his best year, but injury screwed him up. This year he's healthy. It's a classic, we forgot for 1 year because of the injuries, but this guy still got it. And I've always been a big fan, and I just went back to the well with Ramondre, and I'm sticking with it. I am.
I like it. I don't own any shares. I actually got offered him for my Devontae Adams in my home league, the non-PPR league.
That's a little... Non-PPR league? Ooh.
Yeah. That was a tough one for me. I ended up not doing it. I actually kept Devontae, even though wasn't really impressed with Gardner Minshew, but I think there's better days ahead. That's a division game in LA. That's a tough one.
Where's Uncle Ted? Uncle Ted's hyping up the Raiders. Dude, the Raiders are going to be awesome. And then Zamir White. And even on Sunday, it was put to me by somebody who said, Zamir White or George Pickens? And I really went back and forth. And I brought Brian Thomas into the mix, who I really liked, who scored a touchdown, who might be, I'm not kidding, Brian Thomas will be one of the top 3 best rookie receivers this year. Lock it in, for sure.
I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Better than, I also, let me do you one better. Brian Thomas will have a better first season than Malik Neighbors will.
Hit that button again, because I agree with that 100%.
That has a lot to do with Danny Dimes, maybe, but whatever. What about, so we got a couple questions. You want to hit some of these?
Yeah, let's go. Crossed here wants to know, hey guys, would you do Caleb Williams, Jaden Reed, and Mixon for Pacheco, Burrow, and Olave? I'll go first here, and I will take the Caleb Williams side. I know Pacheco is probably the best player in this deal. Like, I've already made it crossed.
Love Pacheco.
Yeah, so do I. If you're late to the show, I talked about Burrow earlier on. I have real concerns about his wrist. Olave, I'm not really high on. I know that I know he played well or decently, I guess, in the Carolina game. I've never been a big Chris Olave guy to begin with. I don't think the Saints' offense is as good as they showed against Carolina. I think a lot of teams are going to look good against Carolina. So I think here's the only thing, and I'll backtrack a little bit here.
Okay.
I don't think Jaden Reed is going to have the production that he did week 1 simply because of Jordan Love going to miss the next 4 to 6 weeks. So that's where things get muddy at. Caleb Williams, for me, looked decent. I wouldn't say he looked great, but from a fantasy perspective, I think his arrow is still trending upward. There's a lot of buzz in the city of Chicago for week 1, still first pro game. I don't think that's necessarily something that I don't know if the delta between Burrow and Caleb is going to be that high at the end of the day. I hope I'm wrong on that. And again, a lot of people will be like, Mike, you're overreacting over week 1. The wrist is really concerning. And again, I'm going to find the video. I'm going to tweet it out, but it made me like sick to my stomach because I'm like, oh God. Luckily, I don't have any Cincinnati players on any of my 5 leagues that I'm in, so I'm grateful for that. But Pacheco is the best player in this deal. Mixon not going to have the same production that he did against Indy. I think he'll be better than how Cincinnati used him, but I think in PPR format Pacheco. So for me, it's very, very close, but I'd still lean the Caleb Williams side. But interested to hear your thoughts.
We're gonna get all in your face and point out your faults.
Yeah, that's what we do on this show here, Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's. You didn't tell me if this is PPR or not crossed. By the way, is this Eric Cross? Crossed with Eric Cross?
That'd be cool.
I love Eric. Eric, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the football side of things. Make sure you subscribe while you're here, Crossed. We'll be doing this Tuesdays, Sundays. We're here for you. Discord's free. It's in the link of the description. Caleb Williams, god-awful first week. Doesn't mean he'll be bad. Jaden Reed showed us why last year was not a fluke. So even if it has to go to Malik Willis, I can see them running the option and him racking up yards. I really, Jaden Reed he ran and he caught.
Yeah.
So Mixon, by the way, former Bengal, boy, they missed him. Chase Brown shit the bed against the Pats. That sucked.
Same Zach Moss. Mixon
was awesome. He was the 30 carries, almost 160 yards. He outdid Jordan Mason and Ramondre. And Mixon's in that offense, which is great news for him. They showed they want to use him, so Mixon could have his career year for real. I don't think that's a fluke. And then Pacheco's a badass. I love him. I love Pacheco. So if I get Pacheco, Burrow, and Olave, I think Reed, Mixon, Caleb is safer. Just by a hair. Just by a hair. I love Pacheco, but Olave, the Saints had a huge game, but Olave didn't do shit, and that's going to happen with him. Rashid Shaheed scored a touchdown, does what he does, has like 3 catches for 80 yards. I love that dude even more.
Same.
And he was cheap as hell in fantasy, so hopefully everybody got in on that. And in non-PPR, Shaheed is valuable for his yards and his touchdowns, Mike.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so I think we're in agreement here, Cross. I think it's close just because you're getting the best player in Pacheco there, but too many unknowns with Burrow right now. Olave is kind of meh for me. And I think actually you get a better ceiling with Jaden Reed at this point than you do Olave, in my opinion.
Can't do it.
So just because you're going to get the rushing ability, they look like they're going to use him kind of like how they use Debo. So maybe give him some end around, some jet sweeps, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a burner. I think he's a wide receiver 1 there. And if Jordan Love can come back halfway, maybe week 6, week 7, where I think they project him coming back at.
He hasn't been ruled out for week 2 technically yet, Mike.
Yeah.
Did you read that?
Yeah, he's not playing. But Jaden Reed is a guy that for the long haul, I think that's somebody I'd like. Oh, look at this.
Woo!
He subbed.
We love
Thank
you,
you,
buddy.
Cross, man. That's great, dude.
Can't do
He
it.
said he can't do it, but he did it. Thank you so much. We're going to lock you in, Cross. You're going to be a regular around here.
Really appreciate it. Make sure you're following both myself and Michael Govier. Our Twitter handles in the yellow bubbles here, so make sure you do that. Gov, what stood up for you in terms of the week 1 fantasy season thus far? Like, what's your overreaction? What's something that stood out to you? What stood off the page?
I was really pissed off the Bengals couldn't cover a live line of 5.5. Live line plus 5.5 plus 5.5.
That's
lose by a field goal. Lose by 4. You dicks. The other 3 guys, whatever. Let's look over at Arizona in Buffalo. That was a fun game. A lot of offense, highly entertaining. Kyler Murray is even healthier, and that was one of my hopes. I didn't get as much of him as I wanted to this year. Also, Marvin Harrison didn't do dick in his opener. Okay, that's fine. Don't worry about it too much. Kind of the game went that way a little bit. Arizona got out to, they blew a 14-point lead to Buffalo. Josh Allen, 2 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. This is the MVP year for Josh Allen. He's all in. And the last thing goes back to Thursday Night Football. My guy, who I did a video about last year, preseason 2023, Isaiah Likely, had a badass opener against the Chiefs, took it to him, had his damn toe on the line there, which cost them the tying touchdown, but Likely racked it up. And that's not a fluke, okay? Likely was on the field. I did this on the Sunday morning show, Mike. The snap share, 66% to 74 to Andrews. That's not a big disparity at all. He was on the field a lot, and Likely is going to have the breakout season this year. And if you got him as your starting tight end for nothing, then you're sitting pretty.
Here's my take on that. I'm glad we're talking about Likely and Andrews. One of the beat reporters had pointed out a good thing with Andrews. Because they were blitzing so much, they used Andrews a lot in their blocking schemes to protect Lamar. I don't think that I don't think there's a changing of the guard. I do agree with you that Likely will have likely value in a lot of leagues because they're going to run a lot of 2 tight ends. I think they figured that out last year, dude, as well. But if you're an Andrews owner, I would, and Likely is out there, I would definitely go try to back up my insurance plan there because you probably took a high pick on with Andrews as a top 3 tight end. I don't think that we're going to just see this like 4 catches for like 20 something yards, whatever he had. I don't think that's going to be the likely case with him moving forward. I think we'll probably see a little bit of both just because in the receiving aspect of it is really Zay Flowers, Andrews, and Likely. There's really nobody else. Don't give me Rashad Bateman. Don't give me any of these other guys, right? I think they both have value. I would still probably prefer Andrews over Likely, but Likely will have value this year. And I definitely think he needs to be on.
Thank you so much, because it's true. Likely. Lock in likely, everybody. Go crazy on likely. I want everyone to know that now. Also, Rugrat told you to dump Adams, Mike, ASAP if you don't need him. Just gambling on him being traded later this year.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I disagree. I don't think it's too quick to dump him after week 1. I do think he stays in Las Vegas. He says in a presser, because there's a lot of rumors about him wanting to get out of Las Vegas. I don't think that's the case. I think better days are ahead. It's a division game in LA. I think there are better days ahead there for Adams.
Augusto Kashishian. What a name. Kashishian? I love that name.
Yeah, he says Rashad White, Ford. I believe that's who Rashad is. Rashad White, Ford, London for Barkley and Flowers. Give me the Barkley side.
Oh, God. Yeah, here we go.
Give me the Barkley side.
Did you do it already? Have you talked about him already?
I have not, but
I wish I would have missed it.
I had my anniversary weekend with my wife this past weekend. And we were out to dinner in Old Town Alexandria, Govier. I don't know if you know or if you've been there when you were living in the area.
I picked somebody up there once. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, we went to this Italian place called Landini Brothers. I think it's what it's called, and a phenomenal restaurant. Anyways, we didn't get any service down there. It's like kind of like in a little basement area. So I'm like, fuck, man, I'm gotta kind of get with the Eagles games going on, right? I get out and I look at
Daisy.
I start getting all the Yahoo notifications. Barkley had already scored 2 touchdowns, and I literally had to push my boner back into my pants. You should
have gone to a Brazilian steak shop. That's where you should have gone.
Right.
So
anyway,
preach the mojo.
I love rumors.
Augusto, I would assume this is a PPR league. I think the best player in this deal is definitely Barkley.
He does.
Yeah. Ford, I think, has value. London, I'm kind of still iffy about. Kirk Cousins looked meh.
Atlanta. Michael Penix watch heats up. Dun, dun, dun.
Exactly.
Get ready. It's coming your way.
Higher.
I love Jerome Ford. I just want to say you're right. Barkley is the best player here, but I love Jerome Ford until Chubb comes back. At least he's even in the shit week. He catches a lot of balls, and they'll be better. He'll score more for you. I would buy Ford. Even with the return of Chubb, Ford's gonna be a part of this offense all year long. Maybe that offense sucks, but whatever. I like Zay Flowers had a solid PPR game, so yeah, I like the London side technically.
Okay,
but you're right. Barkley's the best player here.
Yeah, Augusto, I think we're split here, but I prefer the Barkley side. Very, very slim here. Rashad White's kind of an afterthought for me here. I think the volume, the reason why he was so successful last year is because it was based off volume. Now that Bucky Irving is there, I think you're going to start seeing some more carries go his way. So give me the Barkley side ever so slightly.
Uncle Ted's here, and he's bombing the chat like he always does. Mark Andrews was double-teamed the whole game, so that's how he feels about that. Yeah. Also, people better be grabbing Alec Pierce. Yeah, Alec Pierce, a forgotten guy, but I wouldn't overreact too much to his one long play with no Josh Downs. And also, Adonai Mitchell in that receiving core is on the rise. He's a rookie that they like, so I would slow that a little bit, but I respect what you're saying. And also, Rugrat loves you, Mike. Barkley, Flowers all day. Flowers ceiling worth way more than London. Wow, okay, that's pretty clear cut. That's interesting. Oh, look who's here, Mike. He was here. He won his fantasy baseball league. He did it. The man, the myth, the legend. His first year playing fantasy baseball, and he won a title thanks to this show right here, the Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's.
Henny, you sexy son of a bitch, man. I'm glad you're here talking football with us, man. If you're playing fantasy football, and I hope you are, let's get you a fantasy football championship as well.
That's right. Next up, let's do it.
One of the things I want to talk, since we're talking a lot about tight ends, Likely and Andrews and some of these other guys, are you freaking out about? Are there any tight ends that you're freaking out about? Because we saw a lot of duds from a lot of the quote unquote top 5 guys. Kelsey wasn't really good. Andrews wasn't. Bride wasn't. Laporta had a stinker as well. Like, are you worrying about any of these tight ends going into week 2 of the season?
Wow,
I told you. McBride was overpriced. He was too hyped. I didn't get him at all in any league, and I don't regret that. By the way, Mike, did you start McBride, Pitts, or your third option?
I went McBride and I switched it out last second. I swapped in Gus.
Bench
Edwards
Gus?
for Kyle Pitts. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I started Gus.
I told you not to. That's the one guy I said not
Somebody
to.
talked me into it last second. Literally 12:59 p.m. I swapped.
Oh, it was very close. That's true. Yeah, it was. Shit. Oh, well.
The reason why is because everyone's like, dude, you can't start two tight ends. What's wrong with you, man? And I couldn't sit McBride. So because I thought that was going to be a shootout. Hindsight's 2020. I still ended up winning that game because Barkley had. Listen to this. In a standard league, I scored 89 points. Barkley scored
a lot.
30, yeah, Barkley scored 31 of them. So
wow, dude.
Wow, dude.
Oh, Britton's here. What's up, Palazzos? Jalen Wright is a must-add. It says Britton Allen.
Pump the brakes here, Britton, because I am calling my shot here. All right. Most people will be rushing to the wire to get Jalen Wright if he's out there. I personally think Jeff Wilson will.
Here we go.
If both those guys will sit, and I think that's a real case. I think it's a Christian McCaffrey type thing because they were both DNPs today. Mostert with the chest, HN with an ankle. It's week 2 of the season. It's a short week. It is a division game against Buffalo, but Wilson was there with McDaniels in San Francisco. All right. And I don't think that it's going to be just Jalen Wright. I think a majority of the snaps will go Jeff Wilson's way, but I think you'll see a sprinkle of Jalen Wright in there. I believe he was a healthy scratch week 1. And Jeff Wilson was active.
Jeff Wilson had like 6 carries.
Yeah.
In week 1.
So I think Jeff Wilson's
tight game.
Yeah. I think Jeff Wilson's a goal line guy. I think he gets the majority of the work. So while most people are going to be yinging and going to get Jalen Wright, I'm going to be yanging and going to get Jeff Wilson.
Okay, I got to get updated on some injuries here because some of these guys are messing me up. Britton, love to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Britton rocked out our Sunday, which is still going, the Fab Waiver Wire Show. We got a couple more weeks of fantasy baseball before it's over and done with. Looks like most of my championships have faded away, and even though I made a lot of good choices this year, I'm not winning. So I might need to downsize. I said that last year, but that's a story for another day. I want to bring up here, so everyone's, Uncle Ted saying, Schoonmaker must add. He loved Jake Ferguson, and also Maddock with 2 Ks. Maddock, you look new here. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, be here Tuesdays, Sundays. Schoonmaker and Bucky Irving on the waiver wire too. So did Jake Ferguson get hurt then?
Yeah,
because that's I'm assuming if we all want to add Schoonmaker that Ferguson got hurt and I missed it.
I think he had an MCL sprain. I don't think they said there's a likely that it's not likely. There's a possibility.
He's ruled out for this week for sure though. He's out this week against the Saints.
Because I read something earlier today that there's a
he hasn't been ruled out. I read it backwards. See, look at me. I'm just flying through shit. Sorry, Ferguson has not been ruled out to play Sunday against New Orleans despite the MCL sprain and bone bruise.
That's what I read. Yeah, so I think they will probably end up sitting him. So Schoonmaker is a guy that should probably be on.
Schoonmaker, University of Michigan, go blue. Underrated. Schoonmaker, I won a big plus 4,000 bet on him scoring a first touchdown last year in one of those games. So yeah, that's fun. Go blue. That's right, baby. Woo!
So
Rugrat, you belong here. I went to Michigan. I love Go Blue. This is a Michigan podcast. Maybe not technically, but there's a big heart of Go Blue who got murdered by Texas on Saturday.
Yeah. So overall, real quick, going back to my tight end question here, is there any tight end that other than Trey McBride? Because I know you had said you were out on him this year given his draft price. Is there any other tight end that you're concerned about? Are you concerned about Kelsey, Andrews, Laporta? Kyle Pitts caught a touchdown. Gove. So
he did. That was the only thing Atlanta did.
Yeah. So are you concerned with any tight ends? This is probably the deepest tight end has been in a while. Evan Ingram, same thing. Are you worried about any of these guys?
Ooh, first off, if a guy didn't get hurt, let's take a look at some of the top tight ends. Isaiah Likely obviously had one of the biggest weeks here, as you can see. Foster Moreau, he had a touchdown, so that's stupid. Brock Bowers had 6 grabs for 58 yards. That's a great debut.
It is.
And I drafted Bowers in our league. This is the only Bowers share I have is in Palazzo. Chigakonkwa scored a touchdown. I like that. I'm pro Chig. I love Chig. Colby Parkinson, who's subbing in for Tyler Higbee. I like him too. Sam Laporta, 4 catches, 45 yards. Like I said, not everybody can be Mr. Superstar in that offense in Detroit every week.
Yep.
And Njoku got hurt, so that's interesting.
That's my guy.
I love Njoku, but I don't think it's that serious, so I'm not freaking out about it too much, right? And then, otherwise, Pat Freiermuth, he never delivers. He gives you 4 grabs, never scores. Yeah. But I'm not too worried. Luke Musgrave had a bogus outing to start with the Packers this year, and now with Jordan Love out, that kind of bums me out. So I'm a little down on Musgrave. But otherwise, I'm not too panicked about the rest of these tight ends. I'm feeling okay about things.
Yeah.
Boo! Boo! You lost, man. You pulled in App State. You lost to Northern Illinois after you crushed Texas A&M on the road. Sorry. I like you, EW2EK. We love you. You're one of our guys, but I got to talk shit.
I want to get to a couple of these other questions here real quick.
Please do.
Caesar Ranhel. If I hope I'm saying your last name right.
Cesar.
Yeah, if you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's what we here. It's what we're here to do. In my opinion, we're the #1 show for answering questions. That's what we do. We want to help.
Yeah, all the big shows get overwhelmed on Sundays, but we're here because we're not as big. It's one of our benefits. We can be intimate and talk to you directly.
Exactly. Hey, can we get something added to the soundboard too? I want the Bane.
Oh,
and we give it back to you. I want that on there.
Yeah, I still owe you. Go Chargers.
Yeah,
I got that too.
Anyways, he says, hey, in a PPR league, I had Love, have the option of getting Carr or Darnold on the wire, and I got this trade. Kincaid and Collins for Jaden Daniels, Pitts, and Jordan Mason. I have CMC. My receivers,
Jaden Daniels, my guy.
I know. My receivers are Collins, Olave, DJ Moore, Jameson Williams, and McConkey. My running backs are CMC and Singletary. Trying to get him to switch Collins for DJ Moore. Okay, lot to unpack here. Cesar, however you say your first name. I would be, I'm bringing up the trade here too. I would be looking to make this deal. Kincaid and Collins for Jaden Daniels, Pitts, and Jordan Mason. If you have CMC, you got to back him up with Jordan Mason just for how well
Can't do it.
In that Monday night game.
Yep.
I've made my thoughts on Kyle Pitts extremely clear. I think he's a top 3 tight end this year. And then Jaden Daniels has one of the safest floors. And I actually think his floor and ceiling are higher than Jordan Love's this year. That's not, and I genuinely mean that. So I'd be looking to make this move.
You see Daniels got hit, his helmet flew off, and he kept he's laughing. And he's just so casual. He's so good that he could be casual like that. I love Daniels this year. Yeah. And having those 2 touchdowns rushing with 88 yards rushing, I believe, that was the whole floor I built my premise of him being an excellent ad, especially for Superflex. If you did the Superflex video I posted on this YouTube that said, hey, Rich, back it up with Jaden Daniels, you're going to be partying all season long. There's no doubt about it.
That is that's a boner city right there, year in, week in and week out, because those guys,
genius.
Not only with the rushing ability, but the fact that they can score touchdowns too on the ground with their legs it's fantasy gold right there. So good call there.
Thanks, buddy. There you go, subscribers. We love you.
So you would take it even with Collins? Absolutely, because I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in that Houston offense, and I think that's going to be a frustrating situation there for Houston. A lot of people overreact and say Diggs is wide receiver 1, and I probably still lean that way, but I think you're going to get a lot of back and forth between 1 week it's Diggs, 1 week it's Dell, 1 week it's Collins, and sometimes it's all of them, and it's kind of just mush.
Look, guys, there's some basic things you can look at to remind yourself of who's boss. Look at the targets. Look at the snap shares, okay? Look at how long a guy's on the field versus the other guy. We have all that information available to us 24/7. Nico Collins, even though Diggs had 2 tutties, right? Nico Collins still got his. He didn't score, I don't believe, right? But he still got targets, and he racked up 100-plus yards receiving, I believe. So let's calm down. Let's not freak out. Collins is still very much part of this offense, no doubt about it.
Oh, yeah. But there's only one football, and they can only score so many points. I don't imagine they're going to score 29 points a game. So, again, Caesar, to answer your question, yes, I would try to get him to go to DJ Moore. But if he said, no, I want Collins, I'm still making this deal.
All right, we got to speed round some of these because we're getting a lot of questions, and we got a hard out at 9. So you take control of this, buddy. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let me go back and see if I missed any of these guys. I apologize.
See, we don't want to miss you. We go the extra mile for you here.
Really quick, any moves? 12-team PPR. He's got all these guys. I'm not going to reel them all off. I don't know how to answer that question there.
Let's look at the waiver. The waiver is Parkinson, Bigsby, and Lazard. You could add Lazard. We said that. We like Lazard.
Yep, there you go. Okay.
Whoa, Jaden Daniels is a fraud? Shut up, Chad. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
He was supposed to make Scary Terry lead again. It's 1 week, Chad. Relax.
Chad, I hope you're feeling better. I love you, man. But no, come on. Don't bring that weak shit. Come on.
Yeah. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. I heard you got COVID. 12 standard. QB is Williams. Yeah, all these guys. Just traded Ford, Dobbs, Sutton for DK Purdy. Thoughts?
Ooh, DK bogus first game. I like him a lot, though. Purdy kind of a boring first game, too. I love Ford, but I like DK Purdy side better.
So do I. I like DK and the Purdy side. Agreed. I think really this trade comes down to Ford and Sutton for DK and Purdy for me. And if this is a one quarterback league, knowing that you're going to be able to mix and match Williams and Purdy, I usually don't recommend rostering two quarterbacks in a one quarterback league. But
I do.
Okay,
I like to have that just one fail safe.
Yeah, there you go. So I would still make this move. Britain wants to know 12-team redraft. I've got Calvin Ridley, Keon Coleman on my bench. Oh, I love that. Talk dirty to me, Britton. I love Keon. Would you drop either for Jalen Wright or Jeff Wilson? The other players on my bench, I'm not dropping.
I don't think you would.
I don't think I would make that move either. I think I'm still holding Ridley and Coleman on my because here's the thing. You just don't know what you're going to get, and you're really only going to play for one game because with all that rest, I don't know how severe these injuries are, and we haven't really even gotten much information on whether or not both of these guys indeed are not playing. So I think I'd still hold these guys.
By the way, Britton, I know I told you to stop being on the Patreon because you're part of Palazzo, but just saying, went 5-0 on my best bets. Week 2, I got my shit together here. Had a great weekend. It was a lot of fun. Go Cal Bears!
You want to hear the real quick? I know we got a hard stop it here at 9. You want to hear my two best bets of the weekend were?
Let's hear it. Let's do it.
Last night, I bet $125 that the opening kickoff would be a touchback, and it hit, and I won 208. So that was that was literally a last second move. But I do want to go over this one NFL bet that I won, and I want to get your thoughts on it. And this is a little bit of a victory lap certified.
Damn right it is. That's what we do here.
4-leg parlay. I bet $10.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I bet $10 to win 159. It was over 16.5 rushing yards for Taysom Hill, over 7.5 rushing attempts for Rico Dowell, anytime scorer Mike Evans, and over 6.5 receptions for Cooper Kupp, which he
crushed that. He's back, baby. He's back. That's not a fluke.
Yes,
and Puka's out 4 weeks minimum, just like I called it. I didn't draft Puka at all. There's no way he could live up to what he did last year, and he's not.
Agreed. I am so high on Cooper Kupp. I paired him and Tyreek Hill in one of my leagues.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so money, dude. That could be the top 2 wideouts, maybe.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
I was going to say Cooper Kupp for me really quick. Even with Puka, I was high on him. I would actually preferred Kupp, and I would Kupa. I would draft him over Puka, and I loved Cooper Kupp because all the reports we got that he was healthy. So he's back, baby. I'm ready.
They went so hardcore on that Super Bowl win in 2021 that it took him that long to kind of recover. He exhausted his physicality, but he's healthy and he's back now. Also, you mentioned that kickoff bet. You got the touchback. Yep. Kickoffs. We had some big returns. That's interesting now. It's fantasy relevant. Mr. Turpin of the Dallas Cowboys. He can fly. He's got to be at least looked at now in a lot of leagues.
Yeah. Yep. All right. 4 more minutes here left. Rugrat wants to know why I'm so high on Keon Coleman. Bills don't usually focus on rookies, i.e. Kincaid. I just think he got the clear shot to be the wide receiver 1 there. And I don't know if Shakir is it Shakir or Shakir? How do you say his last name?
Shakur.
Yeah. Anyways, he reminds me a lot of the Shaheed kind of guy there in the Bills. He's kind of a home run hitter.
No. That's wrong. Let me say that's wrong, just for the record, okay? He's a PPR guy, but that's the thing. He's not a big homer guy.
Has the most rapport there with Josh Allen, but they spent a first-round draft pick, I believe, on Keon Coleman, I think at the back end of the first round.
Remember they traded down from the Worthy pick to the Chiefs so the Chiefs could draft Worthy, just for the record. Great job.
Oof. You have that button still?
I gotta get it loaded up. I'm too overwhelmed today.
All right, Keon Coleman for me again. I just liked him coming out of Florida State. So Rugrat, to answer your question, I don't really have anything to base this off of. I just think
great for touchdowns.
Yeah.
And radius, huge dude.
Yeah, huge dude. He had 50 yards too. So
he had caught 4 balls right off the bat. That's a good start.
Yeah. Augusto, Rashad and ETN for Jay Jettis and Keon. Love your content, guys. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate that.
Jay Jettis? Am I a moron? Who's that?
Jefferson.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Okay.
Jefferson.
We didn't talk about ETN, man. Bigsby had a big day. He totally outdid ETN, and that was a serious game. It wasn't a garbage time game. I'm concerned. That is a concern. Tank Bigsby, big day.
Same. I'm with you on that. I don't know if he's going to completely just lose his work or his job to Bigsby, but Bigsby will get work. And they actually did say that they wanted to get him more involved this year and not run ETN to the ground because he tapered off last year and I think he was retired. So Bigsby has value. So if he's out there on your waiver wire and you need a running back,
yes.
I don't know if he's startable quite yet, but he is a guy that you should be stashing and should be
Adam.
But
Yep,
And this
12
for
teamers
me-
or deeper, Adam.
Oh yeah, and this trade here, give me the Justin Jefferson side, and it's not close.
That's fine.
Yeah.
What about Armando Zepeda Jr.? Isn't that a made up? That's like a celebrity, isn't it?
I don't know. Burrow
Hey,
or
buddy.
Murray? Burrow or Murray? Here you got
Murray.
Yeah, rushing
Kyler,
upside
Kyler.
alone. Yeah, rushing upside alone gives him the even if they're both healthy, it's Murray for me as well, just because you're gonna get the rushing yards there.
1 minute left.
All right, let's see. Saif Naviki, look like you're new here, man.
No, I think he might have been here last year. I'm just saying he might be a returning fantasy footballer. That's very rare if we get that. If you are that guy, good to see you again, Saif.
All right, so I guess he's asking what we think about his team. I'm not going to reel off all these guys.
It's a great
but
team.
Looks like a great team there.
Look
Yeah, good.
It's awesome.
Good stuff. Britton says Detroit wide receiver Jameson Williams, top 20 wide receiver this season. Michael Govier, let's go Lions.
That's
Love
right.
that.
We don't need no stinking urine and soaked mattress, baby. We got JMO. Everybody should have JMO. Get buy. It's for real. It's totally for real.
Real quick before we head out of here, how are you ranking? Who are your top 3 ads off the waiver wire going into week 2?
If Jordan Mason's available, you got to add him, obviously, right?
Yep.
I would say Tank Bigsby also in the mix there as well. No doubt about it. And Alan Lazard, man. I'm really big on Alan Lazard. I don't want to panic anywhere else or freak out too much. I think those are 3 really solid. I will throw this out real quick. I was really big on Wan'Dale Robinson this year, and he's still available on a lot of waiver wires. He caught 6 balls. This is PPR heavy. PPR heavy.
Yep, 12 targets too. I would prioritize him this way. Jordan Mason, I should have already been owned, but if he's out there, he's number 1 for me. I would go likely number 2.
Well, I already got him. Yeah.
Demarcus Robinson for me would be number 3 because I do think I do think he's going to eat up some of those receptions there. He actually came on strong towards the end, back half of last year, so make sure you guys go check that out.
He did. I loved him, but Tyler Johnson, this guy had a big day out of nowhere. He had 5 catches for 79 yards. That's minor concern. Also, Chad's guy, who was this year's Puka for him, Devon Vele, had 8 catches for 39 yards, but in PPR, 8 catches. That's fantastic. This is a guy in Denver you definitely want to add.
Yep. I like Alan Lazard as well, Jeff Wilson, and then I also like Alexander Madison real quick before we head out of here. I like Madison a lot just from a PPR perspective because he did catch a lot of balls. So I bet you would, Panama Red. That's
you would, Panama Red.
Yeah. So I like Alexander Madison as a spec ad if in 12 teams and deeper, because I do think there's probably a small chance that he could at least be getting the passing down work, and he very well could surpass Zamir White. Maybe they think Zamir White's not the guy, even though there's a lot of raves about him coming out of camp. Alexander Madison, we've seen have great success in the past. So just a spec ad, just like Tank Bigsby. So.
That's one of those guys. That's what I was talking about with those like late season draft revelations. I started to realize like, oh shit, Alexander Madison's like an afterthought, but Zamir White's not a guarantee. It started to make a lot of sense to me. Let's close it out with TM's question and we're leaving.
Should I drop McConkey for Lazard, Mason, or Pollard? Mason has 0. I don't know what that
Tony
means.
Pollard? Yes.
Well, what does he mean by Mason has 0 VAMJ, 1 CMC returns? Or value, I think is what he meant to say.
Yeah. He was just so excited to get his question in. Pollard looked good, man. I'm telling you. And the Bears defense isn't bad.
They did say that they wanted to get Tajay Spears more involved in the next game. So I don't know how much of that is. Yeah, they're going to ride the hot hand, and I think Pollard's probably the better back of the two. At least
26-yard touchdown run looked tight.
Yep. I would probably go Pollard here, but I am concerned about Christian McCaffrey here with the. I think he has. I think I just read on Twitter too that he has Achilles tendonitis.
I had 2 number 1 picks in 2 drafts, and I pussied out by Bale. I should have just gone with Breece Hall and said fuck it, but I didn't, and I just pushed out with CMC both times. I'm gonna live with the Reddit. I know it. This has been fun. I love talking. This is great, man. Thanks, everybody. Talking football, back in business. McConkey did have a touchdown. He is good. He's got talent. There's no doubt about that. He's got Herbert thrown to him. So I'm not saying he sucks either. You're kind of McConkey, Lazard, Pollard. All 3 of those guys are valid. Yeah, texting and driving can be risky. Yeah. So
give me
it's
Pollard,
your call, man. You make the call, TM. Bottom line, you make the call, but they're all in play.
Yeah, agreed. Michael, any closing thoughts before we head out?
I'm so excited to be doing football. I love doing football. Mike Virginia. Follow him on Twitter @_MikeBAM and MJ Govier. Follow Britton Allen and Robbie and Ben did the Monday Night Prospect Show. If you still love Dynasty Fantasy Baseball, which is a 365-day-a-year thing, make sure you check that show out. They're rocking and rolling. And we'll be here Tuesday nights to help you with waiver wire. We'll be on there Sunday mornings because we love fantasy football. We love fantasy baseball. We love all of you. Thanks for being here. Subscribe, like, share it to friends. Let's grow the show. Let's get to 1,000 this football season, please.
Do it.